No se está oyendo. No se está oyendo el audio, me estoy oyendo yo en YouTube. Juli, apaga el audio, por favor.
Hello, Liliana. Can you listen to me?
Yes.
Perfect. Just a testing. I'm
Recording in progress.
You can start.
Hi, good afternoon to all our participants across Latin America. We are glad to welcome all women who are looking to enroll in a postgraduate course in the UK and who might be eligible for a scholarship. My name is Liz de Espinosa Pedraza. I am the head of the Americas and Education Insight Hub of the British Council. And it is my absolute pleasure to be your host for today's webinar and to share with you more detail about the opportunities that are available to you. This webinar is being delivered in 3 languages. Some of you are connected on YouTube where you can hear the English version, and for those that have joined the Zoom webinar, you can choose your preferred audio, either Spanish or Portuguese. Clicking on the world icon at the bottom of your screen, we're also sharing in the YouTube chat box the link in the webinar in case you prefer this option. A few days ago, the world celebrated the International Women's Day to inspire a gender equal world, a world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination, a world that's diverse, equitable, and inclusive, a world where the difference is valued and celebrated. And so today, we are extremely proud to present the Women in STEM scholarships in the UK for all the women who are disrupting the world of sciences and technology, and without a doubt will transform the world where we live in. Before we move on to the details, please share in the chat box which country are you connecting from and why would you like to study in the UK. Also, if you have any questions, please share them in the chat and we will have a space at the end of the session to answer as many as we can. Our objective of the British Council is to facilitate the information and to encourage students to live the experiences that the UK has to offer, to learn in a world-class institution and to succeed in your field of studies. So let me present quickly what the key things of Women in STEM scholarships are. So I will go briefly over the definition of what Women in STEM is. So the idea behind the scholarships organized by the British Council is first to provide opportunities for women in the Americas to complete a master's degree in any STEM field in the United Kingdom. So for STEM, we understand specifically areas in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. This program was, since its inception, in 2020, it has helped to fund over 200 women across the world to their education and development. In 2023 in particular, we are in conjunction with 19 UK universities, and this is a global program. We are delivering across the Americas, South Asia, East Asia, Western Bangladesh, Central Asia, and for the Americas, we have specifically accepted master's courses for the countries that you see here. So we are accepting candidates for Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Cuba, Mexico, Peru, Venezuela, and Jamaica. The scholarship program, the idea behind this scholarship program is to try to increase opportunities in STEM for girls and women. So part of the benefit of becoming a scholar of the STEM scholarship is to try to also narrow the gender gap that exists in the world. According to latest research, women participating in STEM are still a minority. Also gaining momentum, we still recognize that gender parity, especially in STEM, in education, and in work environments, the access for women is still very, very slow. We acknowledge in the British Council that Women in STEM also enables further innovation and better represents the need of these fields. And that will also help you improve your necessities, your professional development, and also the development of your own country. The STEM field, we also understand, is a constantly evolving landscape. And this scholarship aims to recognize especially the contribution of women while ensuring an increase in leadership positions. How you can apply? and the eligibility and selection, it's important that all participants or all candidates must meet the criteria that is set by UK institutions. In the website of the British Council of Women in STEM, some of the eligible criteria is: number one, you have to be a woman. You need to have a passport from the countries that I have mentioned before in the Americas, or at least be a permanent resident in one of those eligible countries. You should also demonstrate a case for financial support, especially because this is one of the most generous scholarships that we offer in the British Council. You should also show passion, especially for trying to work or trying to be a role model for women and girls in STEM. You also need to have an undergraduate degree in this field. The master programs that are available and that are open for the Americas are also detailed in the specific websites of the university. And the idea also is that while you're part of this membership, of a scholar membership, and while you're a recipient of it, and afterwards that you show a willingness to participate in the alumni network that is run by us in the British Council, first for women in STEM, and second, to be a role model for future applicants and for future people, and especially women and girls who are looking to work into the STEM areas. The UK universities, this is very important, will manage the application process. So all the initial steps, this is very important. You need to get in touch with the university that is open for admissions. In the website of British Council Women in STEM, you will have a list of the universities that are currently accepting applications from the Americas. And it's important that the application process is first done by the university. We get involved in terms of the British Council at the end of the shortlisting process and the selection of the scholars. So the first step is being admitted by the university. It is also the UK universities who will administer the bursary and the distribution of this money to the scholars. Some of the master's programs that are open, we have 4 universities for the Americas. 2 are country specific, which is for Mexico, the University of Nottingham, which you have the programs there in terms of architecture, renewable energy, drug discovery, biotechnology. So as you see, you have a completely whole variation of programs. For Birmingham, we have exclusively for candidates of Brazil. So if you're based in any other country in the Americas, you are not eligible to apply for either Birmingham or Nottingham. So these 2 are country specific. For the rest of the Americas, which include Argentina, Colombia, Cuba, Jamaica, Mexico, Peru and Venezuela, sorry, you have Brunel University with some programs also in renewable energy, engineering, etc. And we also have Anglia Ruskin University. It is important also to mention that a maximum of 2 scholarships can go to either Mexican or Brazilian candidates in the event that we don't have enough candidates in the Americas. So please bear in mind the universities are open. All the regulations and all the requirements for admissions will be dictated by the universities as well as the deadline for application. So we don't have a general deadline in terms of the British Council. So this is why I tell you again, it's important that you check their website, that you check the requirements for admission, and that you get in touch with the person that is in charge of each of the university's admissions programs. In the website of the British Council, once you click on the institution, it will basically display the programs that are open, and it will also tell you who the point of contact is for your university. So it's one of the things that I recommend is that you get in touch with that person. If you have any questions, if you have any doubts regarding the admission process, that you get in touch with the person that is appointed by each of the universities, who will gladly explain the process and answer any questions that you may have during the admission process and during the whole application prior to your acceptance as a candidate to the master's. Some of the benefits, as I was saying before, this is one of the most generous scholarships that the British Council offers exclusively for women, and the benefits may vary slightly from each participating university. Again, the detailed list of benefits will be available in your university website, but the common ones is a completely paid tuition fee. So you will not pay any tuition fee. We will absorb that cost. An stipend for 12 months, including accommodation allowance. So you will receive money every month for you to pay for your stay in the United Kingdom. We also have allowance to cover accompanying children in case some of you are single mothers or you have economic dependence. We also have some help to actually help you with children. English courses, as this scholarship understands that a lot of the women in STEM sometimes come from less a background that is really not as probably beneficial to English language learning as many other universities. We understand that many of you may not have the English level that is required to actually start a postgraduate course in the United Kingdom. So we offer, again, completely free of charge, an English course if you require, that is to meet the university language requirements. Again, this will vary by each of the universities. Sometimes it's between 3 to 2 months before you start your master's programs. IELTS exam fee, if you do not have an IELTS certificate because it's part of your application and you need to show an IELTS level, we also cover for that exam fee. Your return air travel, so going and coming to the UK and back to your country, is also covered by us as well. And visa cost, insurance, in this case the NHS surcharge that is part of your application, is also one of the benefits that you have in this scholarship of Women in STEM. So as you see, it is indeed one of the most generous scholarships that you will have. If you have any questions, please write them in the chat, and towards the end, we can go over them. I really appreciate we also have with us the presence of 2 former scholars, which just let me stop sharing this. And we also have the presence of 2 former scholars who are helping us today. Just let me, sorry, we have a, and sorry, my internet is dying. Just give me a minute. Thank you. Sorry. So we have the presence of 2 former scholars. One of them is Rejane Vieira, who is from Brazil. And we have Gladys, who is also from Mexico. And one of the key things is to learn from their past experience, from their experience already as a scholar, to understand a bit more how this scholarship benefits them, what it meant for them, what they studied, and if they could probably from now the recipient of a scholarship, what it means for them to be a recipient of Women in STEM. So Rehan, if you can share a little bit about your background, what it meant for you to be a scholar in Women in STEM, it would be great. You're in mute, Rehan.
Okay, thank you very much, and good evening to everyone. My name is Rejane. I'm from Brazil. I am an engineer. I was rewarded with the Women in STEM Scholarship for a Master in Advanced Technology Management in Sustainability in 2021. I studied at the University of Wolverhampton, that is located near Birmingham City. The university modern facilities helped me to improve a lot and learn a lot. I learned new softwares, I learned modern management strategy, and as the course was focused in sustainability, it gave me a new vision about engineering, about how to apply sustainability in engineering. And also now I have more options for work, so I can get more work options. And also my English had improved a lot, because now I feel more confident to go to the meetings, to write emails. So it was a huge difference between how I was and how I am now. So I have a lot to say thank you to this scholarship that have helped me a lot. Can I continue? Can I speak about how my experience there, or should I?
We can probably have the conversation a bit later. Gladys, could you quickly just introduce yourself and what you do and what you're studying or what your field of study is?
Yeah, sure. I'm Gladys. I'm from Mexico. I am doing my master's in biomedical engineering at Imperial College London. So right in the center of London. In my experience, so coming here to Imperial, so Imperial is a very big institution focused just on science and technology. So being able to see how research is done here and what they are working on, like these brand new projects that you couldn't even hear on in the Americas, is amazing. Being able to work with people that are experts in their area gives you a lot of experience. But I think also even learning from the other people that are here, the other students, because these type of institutions, they tend to bring the best people from all over the world. So being able to learn from these amazing people and working with them, it helps you learn a lot, not only about yourself, not only about the courses, but even about like new cultures. So it really gives you a different way to see like the world and to see how you can apply like your knowledge. So in my case in biomedical engineering, I'm really interested like in diagnosis. So seeing how other countries do it and how other people have these amazing ideas. It's a very like a unique experience. I don't think I could get anywhere else.
Thank you very much, Gladys. So Rijan and Gladys, this is a question for both of you. What do you think is the importance of this scholarship, especially for women in STEM fields?
Yeah, in my situation, I think it was very important because nowadays there is only few management roles for female. So I think and it's very difficult for us to have the time and the money to pay for a master. So for me, it would be impossible without this scholarship because I need to work and help my family. So for me, it was an excellent opportunity, and now I can apply for management roles that the companies started to open their mind, and there is now necessity for that. So I think it's very important that we try to go to this way because it's lack. We see that lack things for female. Like one of my studies in Wolverhampton was about new product development. And all the new product developments are made by men. So it's suitable for men. So we need more females in this area for us to have more products designed for females. And so I think this course in the UK, unfortunately, our countries in Latin America don't have all the facilities and the science, unfortunately, for us to develop that much. So when we have this help from a country that has a technology, a facility, like for instance, the library in the Wolverhampton University was amazing. I have so many access, not just the access to the library in my university, but in whole UK. I did my dissertation about battery, and it was a very new subject. And I want a report that was just released 1 month before I was doing my master. And the university was able to get all the information that I need. Was unbelievable. Was really an excellent experience.
Thank you very much. Gladys, what about you? How would you say the importance of this scholarship has been for you?
I think when I was studying in Mexico, I worked in a couple of labs in my university, and it was incredible that there were some times where I was like the only woman. So that feels intimidating. You don't feel confident enough to ask questions, or sometimes even the way people are in Latin America is that they don't really listen to women, especially in the STEM areas. So having this opportunity to come here and learn more, it makes you feel more confident. It makes you feel like you're getting ready, you know what you're doing. And I think also people here really are really open to help you. It's like a totally different culture. So when you go back, you can actually help support other girls that are in the same situation. I wish that when I go back, I can actually go to a lab and make other people not feel alone in the same situation as I was.
Perfect. Thank you, Gladys. So again, for both of you guys and Rian, what can you tell, or what could you tell from your experience in the UK that could encourage all the women who are right now thinking about applying to women in STEM scholarships?
Yeah, one doubt that I have in the beginning was about the scholarship, because it was everything included, and I was wondering, God, I don't have money to pay. How this is going to work? But everything is so well organized. For instance, in my university, there was one person that he was responsible for all our scholarship inquiries and all our needs. So he was responsible for our visa, flights, stipend, accommodation, and any other inquiry. So we didn't need to think how I can get some information. We just go to this person, and he would organize and have everything, all the doubts that we have, he would clarify. So this make our life very easy. So I didn't have any problem before to go, being there, and in the process of return. It was very well organized process. Also, the staff, the university staff is very helpful. The UK welcomes international students very well. I never had any problem in supermarket or whatever I was. And yeah, I think it was an experience of a lifetime, because I learned a lot of my field. I met different people from all over the world, and the country was just amazing, so famous and so rich in culture, in tradition. So yeah, it was an excellent experience.
Thank you. Gladys, what about you?
Yeah, I would say exactly the same. The UK is very welcoming for people from other parts of the world. At least from my experience in London, and I'm pretty sure in Birmingham it's the same. There are people from all over the world. So I feel one of my main fears when I was getting ready was coming to a country where I was gonna know anybody. But you can actually find people like from your same country, even in your university. So don't be afraid to be alone. You're definitely gonna find someone, and the universities really support you a lot. There are many student societies you can join. I think coming here is a full experience, so it's also a time when you can do new things. You can try new sports, you can try new hobbies, you can just travel around like the city, and you can also learn a lot about the culture. So for example, the museums here are free. Just it's also a moment to get to come here and learn about something else rather than just your degree, I think.
Thank you to both of them. One further question: what tips could you share with those people that are right now, especially the women that are in the webinar, considering applying for women in STEM? What tips would you give to them, either before application, during your application, and after your application? What would you say to those women?
Yeah, I think what helped me a lot is when you are going to answer the questions for applying to the scholarship, you need to answer with your heart. You need to really tell what, to be simple, you don't need to be fancy, but to write to the reality and with your heart to all why you want this scholarship, why it's so important for you, and also show the passion that you have to your career and what you want to do after to have this master. Also, I think you should make sure that you have all the documentation. It's not much, but you need to make sure that you have your diploma, your transcript, and your passport read. Because like when they call you, you never expect that they are calling. I think nobody expecting. But when you receive that, the message that you are selected, you need to have all this documentation read. So it's important to have it read. And another tip would be study English. I think it's very important to study every day. You need just a little bit, but if you start now to study a little bit of English, that is going to help you a lot as well. And another tip would be to believe in yourself. And I think I can assure that it worth to try, because we never know. I never expected to be selected, but don't mind about your age, about your background. But if you have what they need, that is the passion, and you can follow all what is necessary for the bridge council for you to apply, don't hesitate. Apply it, because for sure.
Thank you. Gladys, what about you?
Yeah, exactly. So for the questions, I think it's very useful to ask someone to read the answer before you actually submit your application, just to make sure that you're being clear in your ideas, and like maybe English is not easy to write in, so have someone else to read them for you before you send them. And also, I mean, in my experience, in my case, I was a lot in contact with my university. So they were sending me a lot of emails before the results came out. And so I think it's important to know that the university is there to support you. They're not against you. Like, they really want you to get a scholarship. They really want people to go there and study. That's why they're like working this program. So whatever questions you have or whatever is worrying you, just don't be afraid to ask them, talk to them. They're definitely gonna answer all your questions. Like, they're very, very nice people here. And I think, about the papers, it's very important, for example, to have your passport, because it's the first thing that they're gonna like ask you to have. And sometimes the results can come in a little late. Don't worry about that. Like, I think it's very normal. But for example, for visa applications, it's good to apply as soon as you get the results. So try to have everything ready to apply for the visa. Otherwise, it can come late and it can like get you some trouble with the flights. Like, getting the flights can take a little time. And I don't know about all the countries. I can speak for like Mexico. In my experience, if you can apply for the visa before August, you're gonna definitely have everything in time. And I think the one last thing I would like to like mention is to begin looking for accommodation. Maybe not give any deposit or anything, but just have any ideas. Because right now the housing crisis in the whole UK is very, very hard. So if you can get some place in accommodation in your university, it's gonna help you a lot, because you're gonna be close to the university and you will be surrounded by students, so you feel not alone in this experience. If your university doesn't have accommodation, try to get something close, or try to at least see how to get a place, because once you get the results, you don't have much time and where to stay.
Thank you, Gladys. And probably one last question to both of you. What would you say to those women who are looking or who are thinking about doing a career in STEM, now based on your experience from a student working and now being a recipient of the scholarship? Is it worth it?
Yes, I think it really worth, because you are going to get an excellent experience, not just an experience of a technical experience in your area, but as we also have to work as an ambassador for the university. It's not that they give you the choice, but for me, I think it was an excellent choice to go for it. And I have another experience that I was not planning to have, that I work as a social assistant for the students in English, that foreigners students, mainly was from South Korea. So they have to have like trips trips in Cambridge, London, Liverpool, and we were like a social assistant. We need to learn about the place, and we help with them with the trip. Now we need to take care, to explain there about the city, to take care about the time, what time they need to pick up the bus. So like a travel agent. So it was an excellent experience that I never imagined to pass by that. And I learned a lot with that, really a lot. So it's really a life experience that's not just about your career. It's much more than that. And we passed by, like this time that I was there were so many things in the history of England that have happened, like the Jubilee of the Queen, after that her death. So it was so much that I passed there, so much that I learned that. That is just amazing. That is, it was 1 year that I think I have learned for 10. Yeah, so I encourage everyone. I encourage to believe in themselves and go for it. I can assure that was it.
Thank you, Regen. Gladys, what about you?
Yeah, I think sometimes in Latin America, these STEM areas are not really encouraged. There's no many support to study them or to work on them. So sometimes many people tell you like, oh, why do you choose to work on that? Why do you choose to study that if there's nowhere to work? But then like when you come to this country and you actually see what like these areas can do and how much you can actually go to your country and support it, you feel that it's really worth it. Like it's really worth the effort. And if you really like working in STEM, if you really like doing research, or you like really like maths, you really like engineering, I think you should really go for it. There's nothing worse than doing something you don't like. So if you actually feel like this is what you want to do, you're always gonna find a way to do it.
Thank you very much, Gladys. Well, I mean, I don't come from STEM, but I do believe that women in general and women in STEM in Latin America, we do face extreme barriers, gender bias from wage gaps. We don't have an environment that actually helps us or helps women actually promote a career in STEM. And this is the idea behind this scholarship. So I forgot to mention that when you're part of this scholarship and when you become a scholar or you become a recipient, you actually become part of a networking group of women. So the idea is actually to keep these women in STEM connected with one another. And the idea is also that you get connected with the scholars from your country, so people that have been recipients of this scholarship in the past, people that are in the same cohort, which is the same year that you have been receiving the scholarship. But also the idea is to provide you with training, networking, working opportunities, even based on your university. I don't know, Regen and Gladys, if you can talk a little bit about what your experience has been with probably having a bit more of a working experience in your university or training for your specific areas. Have you had that?
In my case, I had a lot of help, like to write my resume, and even they gave us the help for help us to find jobs as well for 3 years after we graduated. So there is a lot of things even after we graduate. Like I still have my email of the university. I still have a connection with them, and like I asked my professor of my dissertation for he gave me a letter that I have done my course and how I was, and he gave me this letter. So everything that I still need from the university, I'm still in contact with them, and yeah. And my teacher as well, when I finished my dissertation, he said to me that if I would like to write a paper, he would help me with that. Yeah, so even when we finish our course, they still give us, at least in the University of Wolverhampton, they still give us support in whatever we need. I was really amazing about that. I thought that once the course is done, it's over. No, I still have all contact with them.
Perfect, great. Gladys, what about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not graduated yet, still a student, but in my case, yeah, we have at least one talk a week from a different company. They come and they tell you what you're looking for, how to apply for jobs. They also have the career service if you want to improve your resume, if you want to work on your LinkedIn, for example. There is a lot of support, definitely. Like, it's very, very nice. And I'm pretty sure that once you're done, like once you graduate, they're not gonna leave you alone. So as Regina was saying, they usually give you this support for up to 3 years after you graduate. So it's also very nice.
Thank you, Gladys. Thank you very much. So we have some questions from the people in the webinar. We will not probably have time to answer all of them, so I have just skimmed over the most frequent ones. Number one is there an age limit? No, we don't have an age limit for this application. So age is not within the requirements. So as long as you are from STEM, you're a woman, and you are a passport holder of those countries, you're more than welcome to apply. So we don't have an age limit for this. The second one is, how can I follow the status of your application process? The first part, and I will just explain very quickly, the first part of your application is dealt by the university itself. So you first have to apply to the university. It is the university who will give you an admissions letter to that course. And once you have that letter, you enter into this kind of pool of competition for the scholarship. So then at the end is when we become involved as British Council to actually select from the pool of scholars that have applied who are the recipients of the Women in STEM. When do you receive the results? That varies, and I think both Gladys and Rejan mentioned. Typically, it will be probably about between June and July, something like that. The idea is that probably because of the visa, as Gladys was mentioning, the visa is something that takes time. My suggestion is that you actually have all your paperwork ready, and that is something that I really, really emphasize. Have all your paperwork ready for when you actually have to apply for a visa. So more or less expect to have a result probably about June or July, and you will be contacted by the universities, and then you will have all either a rejection or an acceptance letter. There's another question about English. You do need an English certificate. This is why it's important, as I was telling you before in the presentation, that you get in touch with the universities, because each university has a different English requirement. So some of them will accept IELTS, some of them may accept TOEFL. I saw someone that had been studying in the United States. There are specifications or certain particularities that probably you will have to talk with the university admissions team to see how you prove this level of English. But ideally, you should have a certificate that proves that you have a certain level of English, at least up to an intermediate level. So ideally, you need to have a certificate. There was another one about financial help. So how do I prove that I need financial help? That will come during your admission. Part of your admission in the university, they will ask you how you plan to fund your studies. So you will obviously be there that you're applying for Women in STEM, and that means that obviously you do not have the funds to pay for the master's degree yourself. So all this showing, or how do you show that you actually have the need for financial help, will come in your application. How many scholarships are available? There are 5 that are set. We have 5 for Mexico, 5 for Brazil, and 10 for the rest of the Latin American countries. A maximum of 2 of those 10 could go to Brazil or to Mexico, depending on the number of applicants that we have from the other countries. There was another common one about if you need a degree to apply. Ideally, you need to have the certificate or the degree paper already, because of the time between the decision and the start of your studies. Bear in mind that also this is an annual program, so it's not like it's the last time that we will open Women in STEM. Every year, The British Council launches this program, and every year there is a new cohort of universities with different programs. So even those, if you are still studying, that I saw some of you in participants, some of you were still studying and you were not graduated yet, that doesn't mean you cannot apply ever. The next year, or when you finish, this is an annual program. So every year, once you have your certificate, you can actually check and apply. Because the timing is very short between the notification whether you got it and then the process of visa, we do suggest you need to have your degree already in your hands. There was another one about country-specific universities. Nottingham for Mexico, Birmingham for Brazil. If you are Mexican and you would like to apply for Birmingham, you can't. So because Birmingham only chose Brazil. So the same if you're Brazilian or Argentinian or Peruvian and you would like to apply to Nottingham, unfortunately you can't because Nottingham chose Mexico as an only country. You could apply to Anglia Ruskin or you could apply to Brunel. There was a question there about some other masters that probably were open or advertising the websites of the universities that were not part of Women in STEM. This is important that you check the offer that each university has opened. It doesn't mean that all the masters in STEM that the university has are eligible for Women in STEM scholarships. There is a list of programs that the universities have decided to open for women in STEM, and it's only in those programs that you could apply for a place in Women in STEM. So even if you have, if you're interested in other course, if it's not eligible for Women in STEM, unfortunately, we won't be able to give you the scholarship. There was another one about payment. Who will pay the fees? The fees will be waived. So pretty much the British Council will give the money to your university, so you don't have to worry about paying any fees to the university. If you have, who will help you look for accommodation? And I don't know, Gladys Irijan, if you can probably talk a little bit about how your process was in terms of accommodation. Most universities will help you. Most universities in the UK will, prior to your admission, will help you with accommodation and will give you some tips. Gladys, if you could probably, because you're still there, and if you could just tell a little bit about your experience in that.
Yeah, sure. So Imperial College doesn't have accommodation for postgraduate programs, so only for undergrads. So they couldn't exactly put me into an accommodation, but they have a list of private accommodations that they know that they are safe, they're good. So they have this list in their webpage, and you can just go check them, talk to them, and they make sure that like everything is fine and that there's a good place, they're close to uni. So also, if you don't want to live in a student accommodation, because some people prefer living in a flat, for example, they also have a number of people that can help you find a place. So they work for Imperial, but they help you find a place outside Imperial. And I know some universities, especially the ones that are not in the center of London, do have student accommodation. So that's also like very helpful.
Thank you very much, Gladys. So yes, most universities, Nottingham, Brunel, Anglia Ruskin, and Birmingham are not different in this sense. So most of the times they will be very helpful. They will have a dedicated team for international students who are pretty much there on campus, and even they will give you the contact details before, so you can actually have all your questions answered. Most of the times, they will also give you questions, Q&A thing. Like, for example, many international students, they are aware that it's your first time in the UK, and they will have a Q&A PDF that I usually share with you. There was another question about the visa, how long it takes to get a visa. It varies. As Gladys mentioned, I can only speak for Mexico. I am Mexican as well. And the process in Mexico for me, when I went to study, it took between 20 days to a month and a half. So it will depend also on how many appointments are available. So I know that in some countries it differs. So just bear in mind that if, as Gladys mentioned earlier, if you apply probably by late July, early August, you're more than all right to get it by September. That is when your course starts. So take about 4 weeks for your visa to be processed. Where can I see the catalog of master's degrees? There is a website that is already being shared. So the British Council Women in STEM, you will have a little chart with all the countries. So you will have Mexico, Brazil, Americas. And then once you click on them, it will tell you the university, the catalog of the university that they have decided to open. There was another question about applying to 2 courses at the same university. If it's the same university, providing that you meet the requirements, you could. We suggest applying for one, number one, because of the time it takes to process the admission. And number two, because it will be harder for you as well. So I would say just understand the programs, understand the masters that are open, check the requirements, and I would suggest applying for one program only, because believe it or not, and Regina and Gladys could probably tell me otherwise, an application process is long, because you will have to provide paperwork, Regina was mentioning, so you will have to provide your transcripts, your paperwork, you will have to provide a lot of papers during your admission process. So I would recommend applying only to one course. There was another question about children. So I have younger children, can they go with me? If they are economic dependents, so if you have children that are under the age of 18 that are fully dependent on you, and again, this will vary by each university. So my recommendation is that you check with each of the universities, especially the one that you're consider applying to. Most of the times, if they are your economic dependents, they will provide help to take them with you. The conditions, how much help and what that help consists of, again, it varies university by university. So please just bear in mind that you need to check directly with each of the universities. And I think there was another question, regarding English. How is the scholarship selection? So as I mentioned before, it goes by university first. So you will need to get an admission to the university, and then you enter a kind of competition within the people that have been admitted and the British Council. About English, if you don't have a certificate, they will ask you for at least a certificate to prove that you have a level of English. Be it, and again, this will vary depending on the university. Many universities can be flexible in, number one, what certificate you present, what level you have, and sometimes even how old the certificate is. So some universities may tell you they need it recent. Because of the timing, some universities will tell you we can accept one that is older, or we can accept one that is, we really need a recent one. So all of that, probably is better that you talk directly to the university representatives. There was another one here that I think it was about, during my undergraduate degree, about health, public health. So a master's degree, but I have a degree in humanities. If you have a degree that is perhaps not 100% related to STEM, but you meet the criteria for admission, apply. And that is my suggestion, because there are programs, I mean, a lot of the programs that are there will accept people with at least some sort of background in STEM, not necessarily a full degree. So my suggestion is, if you see a program, once you have studied the transcript, the subjects that you will take, the profile of the student, apply. And my suggestion is ask. I mean, if we don't ask, we don't get the answer. So my suggestion is just ask the person and say, you know what, this is my bachelor's degree. I have a very strong interest in this area of STEM. And sometimes they can make exceptions, as long as they see that you have actually an interest in that area. And especially if you can maybe explain a little bit about your experience or something, you could probably get on the program. Selection criteria is in the website. So for women in STEM, you have all the selection criteria. Do you have to leave the job to take the scholarship? This is tricky. Gladys and Regina, I don't know if any of you had a job prior to going to the UK, and if you could tell a little bit about your experience.
Yeah, well, in my case, I was working. I was working in a startup, so that's when I saw that doing a master's would actually help me do my job better and have better opportunities and bring something else to the team I was working with. So I decided to take the chance. I applied for the scholarship, and when I got selected, yeah, I had to leave my job. But I mean, they give you time in advance. So if they tell you that you're being selected by July, then you still have time to finish whatever you're doing and then go. And I've heard some people that they talk to their company, so they can't even go back after. Of course, a company is gonna be more than happy to take you if you have a master's, because you know way more.
Yeah. Regina, did you have a similar experience?
Yeah, in my case was in the time of COVID. So anyway, I worked with project that was almost no project at that time. So I also thought that would be a good idea to stop 1 year. And I think it would be the best that I could do for my career. So yeah, so that was my decision.
Thank you. It varies a lot in the kind of job that you are and how supportive your job can be. My suggestion is this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. If you are a recipient of the Women in STEM scholarships, take it. Because what you will get out of it, you will not only get a master's degree from a UK university, but you will also get a lot of networking, you will get a lot of experience, you will get a degree from a UK top university. And as Gladys said, you will also have more opportunities once you're back to your country. Some work, I mean, some companies can be a bit more flexible, and some companies have agreed, that I know of people that have reached some sort of agreement with their organization, and they say, well, I will be back in a year. So they kind of respect the job in a sense. But most of the times, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I would say go for it. If you're lucky enough to get it, it will really, really give you a lot of opportunities. Probably we have time for 2 more questions. So there was one about deadline. So the deadline, there was something about the deadline is the 22nd of March. If you can have an extension. The key thing is that you apply before the end of the application deadline. Most of the time the university will confirm that they received your application. What we cannot do is if Nottingham closes at the end of this month, we cannot ask Nottingham to receive an application after they have closed the deadline. So even if you apply on the 21st of March, you're still within their deadline. So do not worry, you do not need to get a result before the 22nd of March. You just need to apply before the 22nd of March. That is the internal application deadline of the university. And I think we have a space for one more. So as a Colombian, can I apply to scholarship from Brazil and Mexico? No. So as a Colombian, you would be eligible for Brunel and for Anglia Ruskin only. Well, unfortunately, we have run out of time. If you still have any questions, I think Regina and Gladys were very kind enough to put their contact details. If you have any questions about the experience itself, if you have any questions about the process, I will put my email address there. The first point of contact is the university. So you will have a person nominated by each of the universities. So any admission program to the university, that a lot of the questions that I saw in the chat were about admission processes, go to the university contact person. Also, please make sure that you keep an eye on our social media on the British Council website, because we will keep posting information about scholarships, about studying and living in the UK. There are a lot of other tools and information that we share. And with that, Thank you very much, Rian, and thank you very much, Gladys, for taking the time to be in here. Thank you very much for sharing your experience. Thank you to all of those that were interested and are still interested in applying. Please apply and just go for it. And good luck with your applications. Thank you very much for joining, and I hope to see you soon in the next webinar that we organize. Bye-bye.